A lot of people are worried that younger Australians are going to have a lower standard of living than their parents. One of the reasons is that they pay high rates of tax on their wages. But if younger people are going to pay less tax on their wages, someone else is going to have to pay more tax. We need to rebalance our tax system so that young people with very few assets pay less tax, and older people who do have many more assets pay more tax. But if we're talking about taxes on investments, then we have to talk about superannuation. And that's because about half of all investments in Australia are now held in superannuation, where they pay very low rates of tax. People under the age of 65 pay about 12.5% tax on the earnings of their superannuation. That's equivalent to about 1% of the assets in their super every year. People over the age of 65 typically pay no tax at all on their superannuation. One way or another, we're going to have to rebalance our tax system so that it's sustainable and fair for younger generations.
Okay, so that's Dr. John Daley with his view that we need to really look at this. Andrew Bragg, to you first. We need to look at the taxation arrangements around superannuation.
Well, we want to try and tilt the scales in favour of first home buyers in particular, because we understand that how central home ownership is to having a high quality of life in Australia, and that's why we've announced a policy which prioritises first home owners or prospective first home buyers when they go and get a loan, because we believe that's a very important cohort of people. And if we lose this Australian dream, it won't just change the economy, it will change our society as we know it.
But he's not talking about that, right? I understand that's your policy, and I understand, sure. I actually know you're very passionate about it as well. But to his idea about who pays tax and the distribution, is this a generational issue we need to tackle?
Look, I think it's very hard for young people when you're going into a first job, and if you've got a large HECS debt, for example, you've got to pay 12% super, house prices being as they are, it is very, very hard. And the pay-as-you-go tax system for many people is taking a large amount of their income. I mean, we're having an election about cost of living because petrol prices, grocery prices, house prices, rents and energy costs are through the roof, right? And the Labor government have driven, in large part, the housing crisis and the energy crisis. So that's why this election is about those issues. This election is not about these longer-term structural issues, because right now people are really hurting. So although it might be nice for academics to sort of pontificate about these broader issues, right now people are trying to pay their house and pay their energy bills, and these are both disastrous for so many Australians because of the Labor government's mismanagement.
But doesn't the disaster, Marc, get worse if some of these things don't get tackled? That's you, Marc. I'm asking you.
Oh, OK. Sorry.
That may have been a boring answer, sorry.
No. I mean...
Andrew, did you just call yourself boring?
I think you might have been a bit bored, I don't know.
Well...
I don't know.
I'm going to admit that I was ever so slightly bored by your answer. I'm sorry.
Spice it up.
You come to Canberra. It's very exciting.
It's the most exciting place. But where is the real... These experts, the reason... Yes. And we're going to be joined by more of them next week. They are frustrated because they feel like, no offence, guys, you're not talking about the big longer-term reforms.
Well, I mean, but there's... As I said earlier, there's a very good reason. It's because we've got immediate issues to deal with. Now, what you would hope is you're presented with two options for government that provide you with a suite of somebody who's going to deal with things in the short term and also paint a vision of a future that you want to buy into. This election, we're not really being presented with that, are we? We're really not.
Okay. So where's the vision, Jenny?
I'm going to weigh in on this because I actually think that these issues around cost of living have been hugely significant for the community. Everybody in this room will be able to tell a story about someone they've met or themselves who's found it very, very hard. So, of course, that's been a focus for us over the last term. And we've been faced with, you know, a global energy shock of the kind we haven't seen since the 70s. Of course we had to respond to that. And I'll point out, Andrew, that your party refused to support the relief we provided on energy bills, refused to support the tax cuts that we wanted to provide for every taxpayer, and has been generally opposed to many of the other interventions, including the interventions that we made to get wages moving.
Okay.
But on the longer term, on the longer term, I do think that building out our industrial base, decarbonising in a way that respects the needs of those communities that are presently dependent on energy-intensive industries, in working on our defence arrangements and making sure we've got the skilled workforce to support both our industrial activities and our defence activities. These are major long-term interventions to build up an economy that had narrowed and become less diverse under the previous government.
Do over 65s, are they really going to say, yep, I want to pay more tax?
Well, we do need to fix tax in this country, and I want to make a point. Put up your hands if you pay tax. You all pay more tax than some of the biggest big corporations in this country. 1/3 of big corporations right now pay $0 in tax. Gas corporations in the most reportable year made $140 billion in revenue and paid $0 in tax. And I want to disagree with you, Marc, because the Greens are proposing this. It's obviously sometimes difficult to get a word in, but we have proposed to increase
It's a competitive
taxes.
environment.
It is. We have proposed to increase taxes on big corporations and billionaires, and we will raise over $500 billion in revenue over the next 10 years. That can help to pay to get dental and mental health into Medicare, bring back free university, wipe student debt, build public housing the way this country used to. We do not have to choose between going backwards under the Liberals and tinkering around the edges under Labor. There's a genuine other option. We just have to vote for it.